Alright guys, here's a knife I'm really excited about. This knife was sent to me by Artisan Cutlery. This is a CJRB knife. And it's funny because I've looked at this knife. It's a new knife. It's only been out for a few months. And I saw it, I think, on a video by the company, and it looked interesting, and there wasn't a lot of information or any other videos on it at the time. But it intrigued me for a few reasons, and then the next thing I know, Artisan Cutlery contacted me and, hey, would you like to test out some knives? Sure, of course I would. And the first one they sent me is the CJRB Hyperlite. An exciting knife. I'm going to take you down to the table, okay? And so here it is in its sheath, and I didn't look it up, but I believe, I don't know if that's a plastic or a Kydex, could be either or, but this is the CJRB Hyperlite knife. And this, Joe Flowers worked with them and designed this knife. And they wanted to come up with a purposeful built knife and as a lightweight thin knife, and that's what they were looking for, and that's what they asked Joe to help them design. So you have to keep that in mind about this knife, okay? This was purpose built to be as light as possible but as large as possible, okay? And this is the design that Joe came up with, and this is what they went with. And this is intriguing for me because, as you know, I'm a big handle guy on knives, and this is the opposite of that. This was something that they wanted to come up with: a thin handle, thin metal stock, as lightweight as possible. So what they achieved on this 8 1/4 inch long knife with a blade that's about 4 1/8 inches long, they achieved 3.5 ounces, which makes this knife purpose driven. So what's this knife for? It's for people who want a light, streamlined knife that doesn't take up a lot of room. Even the sheath is very thin, okay, and light. So the knife itself is 3.5 ounces. When you add the sheath, it's the total weight is 5.9 ounces, and that includes their little lanyard that they gave you there on the sheath, okay? So I usually like big handled knives, and so I thought, yeah, this would be a good one for me to test. Let's see what they got going with this thin, lightweight knife, and see what it would be good for. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat. Well, let me go over some other specs of the knife first, okay? So that's a flat grind. That's a high flat grind with a relief bevel on there. And look at that cutting edge shape. It's got that cutting edge shape that I love, that slight curve all the way from the tip to the handle. And as you can see on there, it has a lightning fuller on there. And this blade is only, it's about 2.75 millimeters thick, which is about 0.11 inch, okay? So similar to some Moras, okay? But what I like, what they did about it, is they gave that tip some thickness to it and some strength. So although it's a lightweight thin knife, you don't have to, with what you're going to do with it, you don't have to worry too much about the tip. This almost looks like a swedge here, but that's just where the fuller ends. It kind of ends off the blade there, okay? And then it's got some jimping there, works fine. It doesn't tear up your finger or anything like that. The handle is G10. It's got good hardware on there. A little small lanyard hole. I think they could have went bigger. You're not going to be able to get paracord through there. It is full tang. It is skeletonized under that handle. I'm not quite sure how. I haven't taken the handle off. And then it has the back there. It's got that little machete looking notch, and I think I remember I heard someone say that you could use that notch to move around your pot on the fire, you know, to get the pot bail. Or I've knows? I've heard some people say maybe you could pop a top off a bottle with that. Who knows? But yeah, I could see that when you're in the sheath, yeah, you could use that to grab your pot bale, pick that up, move it around if you had to. Blade steel, and this is another thing that intrigued me and why I wanted to review this knife. Blade steel, AR-RPM9, which is proprietary to Artisan Cutlery. It's a PM steel, a powdered metallurgy processed steel, and that means it's fine grained, which gives it a little bit more toughness, sharpenability, make it easy to sharpen, so on and so forth. So I believe it has about 0.9% carbon in it and then 18% chromium, so it's quite stainless. So I don't know, maybe it's similar qualities and toughness and quality of steel as maybe 14C 28N. I'm just guessing, something like that. I've never had this steel before. This is going to be the first I use it. The hardware is good. It does have the little indents at the tip to grip it that way. The handle, for a thin handle, I have to say I'm surprised. Me being a big handle guy, I mean, I like handles, you know, for instance, this is my custom-made knife. That's the size of a handle I'm usually going for a Bushcraft knife, and look at it compared to the Hyperlite, okay? So keep in mind, this Hyperlite was not designed to be a Bushcraft knife. This is designed to be a lightweight carry knife, something that's full-sized, but if you're a backpacker or space is a problem and you just need a as thin and light as possible, that's the niche they were trying to fill. So, well, look at that blade shape. I mean, that would be a good animal processing blade shape. It's got that very high flat grind. Great for, should be great for food processing. So yeah, a backpacker's knife, a lightweight woodsman's knife. Can you bushcraft with this knife? You sure can. I mean, you're not going to be able to do a lot of the heavy stuff, but yeah, I've made some feathers already, done some other stuff with it, with wood, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay, so I think I said G10 handle. It is skeletonized. And let's look at the sheath a little bit more. And it does come with this clip. It's just a plasticky type clip, and you can either, I've got it set up for scout horizontal carry. You could set it up for vertical carry if you want. It comes with these three fasteners. It does hold the blade very snug. I mean, yeah, that's not going to come out of there. There's no way. And kind of like that machete hook because it gives you something to grab onto and pull it out. So the handle is comfortable even though it is thin. Yes, this would not be my first pick for a hard-use bushcraft knife, but keep in mind that's not what it's designed for. But it is comfortable. The G10 gives a good grip. I think the little, the forefinger groove and the pinky finger groove are okay. I would have rather, because I like a fuller handle, if they just, you know, let that handle continue straight over to both ends and not put those grooves there. That would have helped it to not rock in my, I mean, it's a solid grip. It's fine. But I would rather if that was just straight across there. Okay. But that's just me. That's just my personal preference. Okay. So yeah, very intriguing. I did feather stick with this knife. This thing is a slicer, okay? I don't know how well this steel is going to hold its edge, how tough it's going to be. I'm not going to go crazy with it. I'm not going to baton giant pieces of wood and, you know, throw it at trees, and that's not what this knife's for. This is a lightweight backpackers, lightweight woodsman, all-around type knife. Can be used for a lot of things. Okay, so I'm going to bring it on out and let's see what it does. Oh yeah, and we do have to show you the box. Came in a great box. I like to show the boxes if it's a nice packaging. And this is the outer sleeve. Okay, and we'll show you the written information if you're interested, what it says on the outside of these items. CJRB, okay, it is made in China. All right, and then the inner box, very nice, has some of the same stuff on there. And you pull it apart, very good quality box. The knife came in a plastic sleeve, the hardware came in another plastic sleeve, and it's got some information written in the box. There you go, you can pause that and read that if you can. All right, there you go. Yeah, one other good thing to do, let's compare it size-wise to a Mora Companion, okay? And the Mora Companion is a lighter knife. It's like 2.9 ounces, but remember, it's not a full tang, okay? It's just a stick tang that goes through there. But there's the thickness of the handles, okay, compared to a Mora Companion. You can see the difference there, okay? There's how it's stacked, a little bit shorter than the Mora Companion. Blade is, let me lift this up a little bit. The workable blade length, the cutting edge, is about the same length. The Hyperlite may be a little bit bigger, and then the thickness of the blades, if you can see that, that might be a little difficult. It's about the same. I don't know how well you can see that. So yeah, there it is compared to a Mora, just a little bit heavier. Different type of blade, a bigger, more sweeping blade. And the difference is, you know, the Mora doesn't typically make a good, food prep knife, a good hunting knife, because it's got that short, scanty grind on it. But that's where this Hyperlite is going to come into play. That'll be a great blade for game, and something good for food prep. All right, guys, and here's how it sits on my belt, scout style, or I like horizontal style. I like it on my weak side, and it carries very nice there. Of course, doesn't weigh hardly anything, and can retrieve it out, put it back in there, and yeah, that sheath is definitely solid. You're not going to lose that knife. So yeah, guys, although, yeah, this is not going to be a big time batoning blade, I wouldn't use it for that. But of course, let's do it. We want to test the steel. Again, I've never used this AR-RPM9 steel before, so I want to give it a little bit of a test. And this is some hardened or very dried aspen. It's not the toughest wood in the world, but I think because of how dry it is, it's a little bit of a test, but don't want to go too crazy with this blade. So not in that one. Let's see if it goes through it. Yeah, blew right through that knot. So to me, that's not anything I'm going to do with this knife on a regular basis. It's kind of lightweight for a lot of abuse like that, but I do want to test this steel, and I am going to be using it a lot in the future, because I'm not going to be able to use it enough now to give it a full, complete steel test that I'm convinced, since this is the first time I've used this steel. But yeah, this thing this thing is gonna be a slicer. I mean, look at those curls. This thing is like it's made to make feather sticks. I mean, I had no doubt it would feather this way. when you feather, you want to try to stay on the edges that you create. Make nice fine feathers, move it around a little bit, got a little bit bigger one there. But yeah, even though this is a thin-handled blade, because it's so sharp and has that feathering edge on it, this is no problem, and I wouldn't see anyone becoming fatigued by using this thin handle in this manner. This is kind of what this blade is designed for, to do this type of fine work. Yeah, that feels good. Remember to use the hammer grip when you make your feathers. I still would prefer a full gripped knife, a nice big handled knife, but again, for what this is doing a great job. Well, no problem with the fine feathers. How about notching? Notching may be another thing you decide to do with this knife, and I can already tell you, yeah, should not have a problem with notching. That took a nice big hunk of that right out of there. Wow. That just feels, for a wider knife blade, unlike the Mora Companion, that just feels great for how wide that blade is. And it does cut very well. Yeah, I do like the way that cuts. So notching, no problem. You want to just do your basic shavings. Very nice. Very nice to work with. And I'm just keep saying that because I'm a big handle guy. And this is a little tiny handle. And yeah, I can feel it a little bit more than a hand-filling handle. But it is not horrible if what I was going for was lightweight and thin and something that doesn't take up a lot of room on the side of your body. Yeah, I really like how this feels. Yeah. Yeah, very nice. I'm going to just work some wood a little bit more, do some shaving and some other stuff, just keep putting some wear on this knife and see how it does. All right, guys, so the CJRB Artisan Cutlery Hyperlite Knife, I like it. Yeah, I really like this knife, and I thought I would, in spite of the thin handle and the thinness of it. So you're going to see in the next portion of video me striking a fire steel or a ferro rod, and I did multiple strikes because of my poor form and the poor way I arranged my shavings and just did it quickly. But on this knife, for those of you who are interested in that, this part of the spine is kind of rounded, but when you use the tip, it's got more of an edge to it, and that's where I was able to light up some feathers with that tip, so it can be done, okay? The AR-RPM9 steel, the jury is still out on that with me. It performed well. I used the tip, I batoned, I shaved wood, made feathers and notches, and I continue to use it in that manner. It's not all in the video, but it seems to have held up well. The edge is perfectly fine. I will use this knife some more and really give this steel a good test. But yeah, like the knife, I think it's well worth it. I think they sell it on their website for, I think it's about 60 bucks, which a good deal for this knife. Definitely a good deal. Sheath is great. Everything works. The sheath holds it tight. I think it just have a winner here. So I'm going to use this knife some more. This is not my final word on it from what I've done with it so far and how I've used it. Fantastic. I'm going to use it some more, and sometime in the near future, hopefully. Yeah, that sheath really holds that sucker. Sometime in the near future, I'll kind of speak more to the how well that steel performs and the knife over time. Okay, so Common Sense Outdoorsman, thanks for watching, guys. We'll talk to you guys later.